everyone. This is Kelly Beard of KarmicTools.com, and this is our monthly Power Circle gathering where we choose something to focus on. And July's focus is Uranus moving into Gemini. It's going to be there until 2033, so we've got a nice 7-8 year journey here to activate and initiate. Okay, welcome, everyone. Tonight we are going to talk about Uranus and Gemini and just this introduction and what we've got to deal with in 2025. We're going to keep it close because it will be there until 2033, so we got a little ways to go in our Gemini house. It will hit any Gemini, Sag, or Virgo, Pisces planet, so it's awakening and liberating all kinds of things from different angles. But the initiation of the new consciousness in Gemini would be happening now. So this is like our introduction. We're going to look at it annually because Uranus is one of the big boys that retrogrades annually and gives us a chance to check in personally. The collective planets are moving big cycles along and big generations along, groups of people, right? And so when we want to dial it in for personal, which is what we're going to do tonight for the most part, then we start looking at things a little differently. So Uranus in the sky will affect your chart directly, but it is a little more rare than the other personal and social planets. It will move through its own cycle over an 84-year period that moves in 7-year increments, but it's best to pay attention to its transits in your chart. So we're coming out of 7 years in Taurus. You have a frame of reference there. And we're going into 7 years of Gemini. So whatever houses those are in your chart are where this awakening continues. And like I said, not everybody lives to 84, so you don't get the whole thing around the whole chart. But it's going to hit at least half your chart, and it's good to know where it is. When you're consciously co-creating with Uranus, you're consciously working on your own individuality and personal liberation. Uranus activates your individuality, unique genius, and authentic self. It is a spark that few ever recognize, but when you do, you are never the same again. So there's like this crack, this lightning strike, an awakening. You see something for a split second. If you can hold on to it and act on it, then things improve. It speaks only to that higher self within you, and it revels in shaking things up so that you realize that there are infinite possibilities for you and just as many dimensions in the universe. So Uranus is often the source of any sudden realizations that change you, also known as aha moments, right? When we wake up to something that in hindsight looks obvious, but we had to do it the way we had to do it. Uranus activations are always what we call a liberating ordeal in some way. They free you from the old and crack you open to a whole new perspective, but then you have to turn to the other planets to help you integrate the changes into your life. Try to use Uranus to change whatever you're ready, willing, and able to change, especially when it's activating your chart directly. You will get more done in a short time than you can ever imagine. Uranus spends about 7 years in a sign. It shakes things up and disrupts the natural order in that house or department of life. So, like I said earlier, not everyone lives to see 84, so not everyone gets the benefits of it moving through all 12 houses. But it's totally worth paying attention to where it has been in your life and where it is now, and to look at the next 7, 14, 21 years ahead to recognize what may evolve next. You cannot control the uncontrollable, but you can be self-aware and aware of your surroundings. And often when Uranus is involved, it is trying to help you break free of a past that no longer serves your highest good. The disruptions can be painful, but that is not the intention. The intent is to wake you up to a new level of consciousness that changes you forever. If and when you deal with Uranus transits, it is good to know that things are changing and not to fight it, but to actually consciously choose what you want to do radically differently and co-create with the energies to accomplish your personal goals. The outer planets, which are Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, affect more generations than individuals, but when it does engage, even from a distance, you can and will feel it. So Uranus is here to wake things up. Now we look at the years and the timeline we're on right now. This introduction is July 7th to November 7th. So my numbers people, I know we're going to be feeling this. And then it hits Gemini again for the final time, April 25th of 2026. And that's when it's on for the 7 years. So July to November is just an introduction. So we want to be looking at things, and we have a whole list of things to look at, but what's changing, and when Gemini, how is your thinking and self-expression changing as well, in a liberating way. That's what we want. We want more authenticity, not less. the years I wrote down to reflect on are the processor years, because this is what else I'm looking at. So some people are new to the circle and maybe even new to astrology. So I'm going to give a little quickie overview here of what I usually tell you all in the circle. We talk about this during the seasonal shifts. So winter, spring, summer, fall is ruled by Aries, Libra, and Cancer, Capricorn. It rules the changes that we're kind of conditioned to, those movements and choices and decisions that come with the cardinal energies. And everyone knows about that one and is pretty conditioned to it. Aries, Libra is self versus other. Cancer, Capricorn is home versus work or private versus public. And it's fundamentals. It's what we all got to deal with. But the rhythm I'm trying to get everyone to sort of feel into is that the month before the change of the season is always Gemini, Sag, Virgo, Pisces time, which is processing time. This is where we process and integrate things going on in our world so that all this learning and education and experience can actually serve and support and protect you. Then the month after the choices and changes and movements of the change of the seasons is always Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius, which is when we either anchor permanently or release permanently based on the changes and choices we just made at the turn of the season. So the rhythm becomes process, choose, anchor, or release. Process, choose, anchor, or release. Because once you make a choice and a decision during the turn of the season, and that's that Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn time of the year, every year we're talking annual sun stuff here. This is a good rhythm to kind of feel into, because then you know what time it is. Is it time for me to be processing? Is it time for me to be making choices and decisions and moving things around, making changes? Or is it time for me to be anchoring or releasing because of all the choices and changes I just made? So you start to learn what's supported in that way and the natural annual rhythm. Well, all the planets do it, not just the sun, right? So Uranus moving through Gemini, I thought it would be good to look at the processing years, because this would have been when it really did cause a lot of overwhelm and blowing of circuits and, going to that next level that no one could have imagined, right? So we're looking at the last time it was in Gemini was 1941 to 42. Huge initiation of new ways of life in most countries, but definitely in America. And then before that, in Virgo, would have been 1961 to 62. We know there were mad changes and processing. Now Virgo, what's practical, what's healthy, what's natural. And Uranus just cracked that all open in different ways. And 1981, now we're in Sag, and we're all up in beliefs and different things that we're starting to, let's say, organize religion and belief systems that want to control or oppress started to crumble during that time. It was crazy, but that's what Uranus does. It cracks everything, all the crusty stuff off to unveil what the new thing is going to be, right? And then back to the last one would have been 2003 when it was in Pisces. So now we've come forward. 2025 brings us back to Gemini. So think about these years and what awakenings did you have? What shifts in consciousness? What radical changes did you go through? And did you choose them, or were they imposed on you? Because that's my big thing. I would rather choose my change. Thank you very much. And so we have a little light and shadow list here of things to think about while Uranus is moving around up there. Also, in the post called Goodies, to everyone all my members, of course, you always get the activations. But people who register that drop into the community, you will get the email that has where Gemini is for you, so you can know where these radical changes are about to wake up and start happening in the area of life. That's what houses in our chart represent, areas of life where these awakenings are going to start happening over the next 7 years. So we get to tap into this infinite creativity, originality, and imagination. We love Uranus for vision and sudden illumination and aha moments. Individuality and freedom needs. So this is the freedom to think the way you want to think and speak your mind. There's all this shifting in language and what words mean. And so I'm a wordsmith. I'm a linguist. I have my own version of what these words mean, and I don't like them being manipulated in this weird social collective way. So what kind of needs do you have around freedom and liberation? And can we look at that right now and see what's going on there? Clarity, ingenuity, and keen perception. So this is the lightning quick mind, right? Uranus and Gemini is going to really give us huge downloads. For people who are channels, you are going to have to work on those boundaries and be prepared for your downloads to be way more intense for the next 7 years. Awakening of the higher consciousness, again, it's just going to crack you open to thinking differently, to believing differently, and to operating from a different consciousness. resourcefulness and unique genius and innovation. So Uranus in our chart wakes that up for where it is in your lifetime. And then that's probably a good thing to look at, too, the relationship between Uranus and Gemini to your Uranus. So, for example, mine's Virgo, so it's a square for my generation of the 60s babies that had that Pluto-Uranus in Virgo conjunction. So there's this challenge to grow for us. And don't even get me started. There's a lot with the body and wanting to stay natural and being pushed into this technology, all this kind of stuff that's going on. And it's going to blow up over the next 7 years. So investment-wise, I don't even know. I'm not a money person, but my uncle says he's been investing in some of this crazy tech and is making money. I don't think it's going to last, but if you can jump on the bandwagon, I guess, do what you got to do. Be resourceful, right? Change, inventiveness, and progress. That's the other thing about Uranus. Uranus ain't thinking about the past. It could care less about what happened yesterday. What are we doing today and tomorrow? So always thinking ahead in this way as well. So if Uranus moving through Gemini is going to wake things up in that house, so for example, mine is the 7th house of relationships, partnerships, and collaborations, I'm probably going to be doing a lot of things like that. Like I drop in with Yeye. I'm going to drop in with some other people and collaborate on these temporary partnership type of things. That I can see blowing up over the next 7 years for sure, because we're already in process of scheduling these things. So thinking ahead of what is going to wake up in that department for you and what are you going to have to do differently. That's another thing. I've been doing things a certain way, being in parent mode over here, but now I'm in empty nest mode, and that's a whole different rhythm. Now, we get even deeper with some of these things we got to think about as well. In this case, awareness, enlightenment, awakening. Let's be mindful of our input-output, our mental input-output, because if you're blowing your circuits, that's not doing you any good. And at the same time, if you're learning your symbol system and your system for communicating with your spirit team, you're going to start getting confirmation of whatever your next step needs to be. So that kind of awareness to the signs and signals and synchronicities that are going on around you are going to be really critical for the next 7 years as well. Radical shifts in perception. This is what's getting cracked open. Uranus is good if you need to break free, break patterns, or break what I call break to realign. I liken this to a doctor that has to break a bone to realign it properly so it'll heal properly. That's what break to realign means. We got to interrupt that flow so we can realign it to flow correctly. And so Uranus is good for that. I'm not saying it's fun or easy, but I'm saying it's good for that. So whatever you feel like you've been struggling with, and we did a lot of this on the burden burning last night, this can really crack open and you can do things a different way. The unconscious becomes conscious when Uranus is around. Like I said, that lightning strike that lights up the sky for 30 seconds, if that, and allows you to see a different way. What was in the dark comes into the light. Let's put it that way. Access new freedom and liberation. And what does that look like for you to be mentally free? Because, that's a lot right now. Try more new and different, right? Let's shake it up. Shake it up some kind of way, either in your communication and self-expression or your writing and publishing. Think about your creativity and originality and how you're expressing your true authentic self, right? Think about the changing forms. Obviously, in Gemini, the form of communication is going to change again, but changing forms on all levels and definitely in that Gemini house, right? And then I did put a Kellyism down here. Do the opposite of whatever your norm is. Do the opposite, and I call it activating your twin, which is very useful for Gemini. The way this came to me was trying to break patterns, break negative patterns in relationships, and so I am a Cancer sun with a Virgo moon and a Sag rising. So I flipped that and made myself a Capricorn sun with a Pisces moon and a Gemini rising. That's a different female. And in that flip, I did everything the opposite of my instincts or intuition in that time with the husband I've now been with for 35 years. So breaking those habits on whatever I was attracted to as a young woman was a good thing. I became conscious of a pattern that wasn't good for me, and I was like, I don't like this, and I called it activate your twin, and then I play with it when I'm talking to people doing their charts and astrology, because that's another way that I teach astrology is it's not necessarily 12 signs, it's 6 sets of 2. So Aries, Libra are related. Taurus, Scorpio are related. Gemini, Sag, Cancer, Capricorn, Leo, Aquarius, and Virgo, Pisces. They're all related. So when you feel like you're imbalanced in one, you can reach for the other ones, their expressions, the different things that channel a different way. And it's still in you, it's still part of you, but it's kind of from the opposite 180-degree view so that you can make a different choice. And that's going to be big, sudden choices and decisions that are imposed upon us. We have to make a choice like that. The more grounded you are in your own body and routines and things that do support and protect you, and still allow the new in, still allow you spontaneity and being able to experiment and all that good juju, that's all wonderful. But we got a shadow list here, too, of what we need to be aware of that can happen with this as well. Alienation, loneliness, isolation, and exile. Because the thing about Uranus is it points out all the ways you're different. Right? So we want to capitalize on that. What makes you different? And then what is that good for in terms of the social collective or some kind of offering and way that you could share your energy with others? Restlessness and impulsiveness is a shadow Uranus thing. Disruption, instability, and upheaval. It's the way it teaches. Like if Jupiter and Saturn are teachers, Uranus and Neptune and Pluto are teachers too, right? It teaches by destabilizing what you are, too comfortable in, let's say. The rebelliousness and defiance of authority. Oh, my God, there's going to be a lot of talking back. I don't know. My generation didn't put up with a lot of that, so I don't know. Erratic mental patterns and unpredictable behavior. So, again, the more grounded you are, the less those things should be magnetized into your field. Chaos, confusion, disorder, or lack of control. We have to be mindful for ourselves and for the social collective in this, when you're moving around in the environment. Radicalism and challenges to conventional beliefs or practices. So this is like the spirituality of AI, right? AI is taking over. It's changing thinking, but it's waking things up and getting the conversation going. So that's going to happen too. And chronic dissatisfaction and constant urge for change. Okay, so we know that restlessness as well, where we're changed just for the sake of change. I'm just going to flip the script. Something's got to change. But then sometimes we make our situation worse. So that's the other reason why you have to be grounded and connected to your spirit team so that you can get the confirmation that this urge to move or change or do something differently is supported. We say that change activates the ego's fears because it's the ego that gets comfy and wants things predictable and all that. Resisting change is a total shadow thing. Do not do it if you can avoid it. Please, please, please. Being rigid, rigidity, and sharp or shocking breaks, right? So the sudden, unexpected, what Uranus is known for in that way. So we need to be as prepared as we can, which means your mental state, your physical state, your emotional state, and your spiritual protections and protocols that you do on a regular basis to mitigate the social collective energies, let's say, the shields between you and the rest of the world. That's going to be your protection during the flow of change or the chaos of change, right? Let's take a little pause before we do the chart and the activations and divinations. Does anyone have questions or comments? Anyone want to say hi?
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes. Who's this?
Hi. Hello. This is Tanya. Hi, Kelly.
Tanya. Oh, you made it. Good. How are you?
Hey, I did. Hi. I have a question on when you said that you do the opposite of what, as far as your rising and your sun. Do you do the opposite of whatever your sun, moon, and rising is? Is that what you mean?
And that's your twin. That's your twin.
That is your twin.
So whatever your sun is, you write the opposite, moon and rising, because that's kind of your inner, outer, and then what you came to do this lifetime. And so it shifts when you flip that script.
Now is that something you just quote Google? Like I'm an Aries sun, so that just.
Oh no, you're not gonna be able to Google this. This is the Kelly thing.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
No.
Okay.
This is something I made up and tried and tested. Okay. So you're an Aries, so your twin would be a Libra sun, and what's your moon?
It's Cancer.
So you'd be a Capricorn moon, and your rising.
And then it's Libra.
Aries rising.
Oh.
That's a completely different woman in there. She's in there.
I'm feeling like it too. I love that. Okay. I just was asking when I said the Google, I just meant like knowing the opposites are.
Oh,
like,
yeah. Maybe that's in there.
Okay.
But yeah.
But that's okay.
But I learned it from Barbara Hand-Clow. So a couple of people are out there talking about how there's 6 sets of 2. But I don't know what language they use for that. So,
okay.
Yeah,
I love that, though.
Always
I love that
write
concept.
me directly, and I'll help you any way I can.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, and then there was something else about activate your twin. Give me a second. It'll come right back. All right, we'll have to wait for it to come back. That was a good question, though. So you all play with your twins, for real. Aries, Libra, and then Taurus, Scorpio, Gemini, Sag, Cancer, Capricorn, Leo, Aquarius, and Virgo, Pisces. Those are the sets. So if you're one, play with the opposite. And that's what you can Google is the other sign, what's it good for, the house it's in your chart and things like that. All right. So the charts that I printed out were for July 7th of this year and April 25th of next year because I wanted to see both what they call an ingress when a planet goes into a sign. So July 7th, the reason this is relevant is because we have a huge Aries stellium kicking, and fire and air work really well together. So Aries and Gemini is good, but you're going to be awakening to these ideas that you want to immediately implement, and that may or may not work out that way. So being a little more patient and allowing things to unfold, doing your due diligence. Let's think, because of all the Aries being in serious positions for a while, for the next couple of years, self-preservation is key to everything. Saying when you get into something, always know your exit strategy. Know how you're going to get out of it. Don't wait till the last minute to figure that kind of thing out. So all this Aries has got us real present to what is going on with you, the individual, your physical, actual needs on the ground, and your desires and what you want. You know, that's ruled by Mars, which is who you are and what you want, and how you go about getting it, right, and making it happen. So all that's pushing us into this new identity and purpose that's birthing. But here comes Uranus with Venus on the rising, which is like cracking open the identity another way so that you can express at a whole new level. With Venus would be your relationships and resources. So we're going to be thinking about those things in very different ways going forward. And this is just the seed point. So the things that go on, I'm thinking between July 7th and November 7th, this is the little introduction. Pay really close attention to what pops up, to what synchronicities happen, to what unusual ways of learning something that you do, or unusual ways that communications come to you and you get your information, right? Gemini's information. And that first house is self-appearance and body, so it's very personal. It's very personal. But it's this whole new way of expressing yourself. Huge. Now, it puts all that Aries energy and the life path that we're dealing with right now, which is actually Pisces, all in the 11th house of community. So while you're waking up to these new ideas and concepts of who you are and what you want, you need that community support that reflects back to you. Like, this just came up recently. The old school way of looking at things, we knew a girl didn't have no friends if she was out looking crazy. Because your real friends will tell you, that outfit don't work on you. Change that up. So we want real community friends who will keep it real with us when our ideas are a little crazy, right? Something like that. But at the same time, you're moving into new communities that absolutely have to support your sovereignty and independence and freedom. That Aries is huge on that right now. So we're moving a lot of that around. At the time, of course, July 7th, we have the Cancer, Jupiter, Sun thing going on in the second house of our values. So for this month, really be expanding your value system in the way that it connects to your ancestors or your DNA lineage, right? What have you inherited about what you feel you're worth, or what is safe for you? You know, think Cancer, safety, protection, being provided for, nurtured, nourished, protected, and then those values that help you feel that way. You know, what do you care about? What do you invest in with your time, energy, and resources that set up your protections and protocols the way that make you feel safe for moving through the world? And a lot of that is going to counterbalance the crazy in the world, right? Because if you do watch the news, you would be scared out of your mind to do anything. You'd be afraid of everything. So we don't want that. We don't want that. That's why I said manage the input-output, keep your boundaries strong. Like my husband knows, I'm on a need-to-know basis with world news. And between Yeye and him, I get what I need to know what's going on. And personally, if you're a channel, like we said earlier, you're going to be getting these downloads directly. You don't even need the news to know what's going on. So, again, being mindful of your energetic boundaries so that they're not infiltrated by these wild energies just flinging about. And at the same time, your physical, literal boundaries are really important to be aware of going forward. And so just being clear, but at the same time, those blessings of Jupiter being there means that we are going to be able to connect to something that does nourish and protect, right? And that does feed us on a deeper level, because that's also up this year. Let's see what else is good in here. Mars is done with its process and in Virgo, so we're getting things done around the home base at this time, hopefully, and cleaning up, clearing out, simplifying, downsizing, however you want to look at that, getting back to basics in some kind of way at home and in like replenishing yourself, self-care, self-love. We just went through a big year or two of just having that pounded in. If we don't take care of ourselves, we're not going to be able to manifest these dreams. We're not going to be able to help our people. We're not going to be able to be part of community because we'll be too fried, died, laid to the side. So again, with what's natural and good for your system. Virgo rules our physical systems, and think about it, the circulatory system, the respiratory system. Like, we have a million systems in this body that all work independently and then still have to work together. That's Virgo. So we always say it's not about being perfect. It's about being whole. It's about being integrated. It's about getting that weave on that makes you stronger, because everything is working well individually, and it's also working well together and making each other strong. So we're fortifying the base right now, and part of fortifying that base is releasing old habits that no longer serve. So we say let go of unconscious habits and replace them with conscious practices. Again, a practice, a ritual, something you do over and over and over. It doesn't have to be an unconscious habit, though. We want to make sure everything we're doing is sacred and has meaning. By the same token, Mercury's already made it to Leo and is on its way to retrograde. So let's think about how we're rethinking our self-expression from that angle, or rethinking our creative babies and creative ideas and how we want to present them. That's going to get a little upgrade this summer as well. So you see how a lot of it is you, the individual, within the context of these relationships and communities and things, and then it's also you privately being strong and organized to a certain extent so that you can experience something new and different in the public or in your professional realms, let's put it that way. Whereas the April chart, which we'll talk about in 26, but I just want to give you a heads up because the whole thing flipped. Uranus is again conjunct Venus, exact degrees. I can't wait for Kimberly to see this. 0 and 2 degrees, very close together, but now they're showing up for the changes in the 7th house. So that means we got to change ourselves first, and then next year we get to change in relationships, because when you shift, everyone around you got to change or go away. That's just the natural law. So we're not even upset about it either, because anyone that goes away is just opening up space for something better. So we trust that. That's where that liberation is going to happen. But all the ARIES stuff is down in 5 and 6, which is your creativity and your creative baby. So again, you'll probably be ready to act on some things by spring of 26 that are just going to start bubbling now. At the same time, you're going to have to create a new routine to support the new identity, because it's here. It's here. We've already been chipped away for the last 2 years between Venus and Mars of the old identity, and here we are with the new one starting to emerge. So then 2026 is it. 25, I want to say Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto did it in 24, so very close. Right? All of them are on the cusp this year. So next year they fully move into their new signs, and it's a new ball game. So right now we got to take these little introductions, like I said, talking to your spirit team, confirming what you're picking up, asking, is this really right for you? Or I do a thing where I ask them to show me 3 times. You know, I'm an Oya, so 369 comes up a lot. Whatever your system is for doing that. Now, the chart is like our Sky Council. That's available to everyone. The activations I'm about to talk about, they're also energy up in the sky happening, what's called transits that affect us all directly. The biggest one is Uranus in Gemini, which is an air sign, sextiling Neptune in Aries. Sextile is an opportunity to gain some traction. It's a good one. It's a good angle. Air and fire work well. And they're going to do it 5 times over, twice in 2025, once in 2026. And twice in 2027. So for the next couple of years, Uranus and Neptune are going to be in this angle to each other with an opportunity to liberate and awaken our minds on one level, but also with Neptune and Aries, my take on it was the spiritual warrior. So we're going to figure out how to protect ourselves energetically and through mystical things of Neptune's nature as we traverse these upheavals, let's just say. So we have that option. but we are going to have to awaken our minds and awaken our consciousness to a new level to do it. And we're going to have to be willing to trust Spirit and our Spirit team for our instinctive Aries moves that we want to make in the world. So it's still an opportunity, like I said, to gain traction in a really good way. And at the same time, it's going to bring out your unique contribution. It's going to bring out your unique genius. We want that. We want you to embody it and fully flesh it out and share it with the world when you're ready. So that one is ongoing. It's a process. We have the first one is at 1 degree on August 28th, so that's coming up. Then it backs up to 29 Taurus, so it's still an opportunity angle because now it's shifted back to water and earth. So it's been doing that for the last 7 years. That's what's interesting, is they've already been in a good angle. We're getting lucky. The next one, I don't know. I'd have to look it up. But that's the final one for 84 to 165 years, and that'll be November 20th. So that prayer day would be like a closure on body-soul work, evolution, changes you've been through over the last 7 years, I would say. Then it goes back to Gemini and Aries for the final 3. So we have 4 out of 5 are in Gemini Aries. So those are going to be powerful and transformative and carrying us along kind of in the background. The time to work with collective planets is when they retrograde. That's when the energy turns inward and we have more access to it as individuals. Now, the things I want to put on the table, other activations and alignments that are working around this, is that we had on April 4th, which was a couple months ago, Saturn in Pisces was in an opportunity angle with Uranus. So here's where we were awakening and liberating our reality on some level and changing things in our value systems so that we could live a little differently. And there was this huge shift, let's say, in spring and early summer that we want to be mindful of because it's manifesting in real time. It's, everything that we were imagining is about to be real. Let's put it that way. And then Saturn also linked up because it moved from Pisces to Aries and Uranus moved from Taurus to Gemini. So my point is Saturn and Uranus are related in the way that Saturn wants tradition, grounded, organized, step by step. And Uranus is like, bump that, I want to do it another way. We got to change everything, tear it down to the studs, and start fresh and clean. So normally there's a push-pull and they don't work well together, but the sextile means that these elements are working well. And we had Saturn in Pisces for the last 2 years and Uranus and Taurus for the last 7. So for at least for the last 2, they've been in a good angle where we've been able to integrate the changes that are coming up. And then also aware when it's blowing our circuits and we're not able to handle it, And maybe we had to take some downtime, like, what is it, when you reboot the computer, right? If it overheats or it locks up and crashes, I reboot all the time. So we got that physical reboot and the value reboot. Now it's shifting to how we express those new values and that new being that you're becoming, right? And at the same time, it's going to remind you every step of the way, are you doing it the old way or the new way? We got to ask that all for the rest of the year. Are we going to do this the old way or the new way? Because that's Saturn and Uranus too. And those are going to be important because as we're liberating our mind and as we're working with our spirit team and trying to be faithful to that as well, as we're working in these other ways, energetically, Saturn's all about the physical reality. So boots on the ground, what's actually happening in real time, being aware of your physical limitations and how much you can handle in a day, in a week, in a month, in a year, right? So that was my reminder about Saturn, even though it doesn't really have anything to do with Uranus, except that it's engaging. Engaging August 11th is the next prayer day for that one. Saturn to Uranus, it'll be a really good one. And when I say prayer day, I mean you light a candle, get a glass of water, put them together. Fire and water are conduits that open the communication between you and your spirit team. It's a very basic protocol. And as you do that, you can write out your petition to Saturn, which is the wisdom of the elders, the wisdom of the grandmothers. We call in our ancestral support to guide us for this reality we know that generations back have experienced. In the 1940s, they had Uranus and Gemini. Those ancestors are pretty close, and so we can call on them. But August 11th, you want to write down what new reality you're calling in, the new self-expression you're calling in, the new identity and purpose. You can write down anything you want related to those things, your new ideas, and how can you have progressive ideas? How can you have unique ideas? Because there's a lot of copy of a copy of a copy out there. I'm just going to say. And so how can you stay original and stay authentic and then still stay true to your heart and your values, right? So there is going to be this shift. Some folks like popcorn, cotton candy, like empty calorie food, and some people want that dense quality nutrient from the earth that's real and it also digests well in your body. So think about what's real and what's imagined, what's been your experience up to now, and how can we shift that and do it a different way. That's going to be what's supported. And then my additional notes are 2026, the year, is going to have a lot of opportunities and blessings and initiations, a lot of new beginnings with some good support around it. Then 2027 has a lot of opportunities, and so there'll still be some movement and adjustment and things to do around these new beginnings that we're kicking off 25, 26, right? But 28 brings integrations, more oppositions where there is a push-pull, and we have to recognize the extremes we get into. So everything is a response to the last thing in preparation for the next thing, in astrology anyway, and in life. So we want to just know that we're on the cusp of endings, new beginnings right now. And in 26, we're going to go full on into these new beginnings, and we are going to be blessed and protected along the way, but it's going to look crazy and different. It's definitely going to look crazy and different. Now, the divinations was something, too, because I always go to my team to ask which deck to use and which questions to ask, and here's what came up. We want guidance for navigating this initiation. So we're looking at this particular guidance for the most part supporting you July to November, okay? Let's just stay in this window of introduction, right? I wrote down your individual genius and unique contribution is one. New creativity and different ideas is one. How to handle change, because that's what's going to be up when we're dealing with Uranus. And what negative mental pattern to break. And then there was a bonus card of miracles that jumped out. And the deck I used this time, I don't use a lot on these calls, so I can't even remember if I ever did. The Sacred Traveler. We do a lot when we're doing the fire ceremony with this one. But this was really interesting because that's how I see Uranus, as opening the path, allowing us to crack open to that next level in some kind of way. And the Sacred Traveler just resonated. And then it was really interesting what I pulled, because this was very organic. It just came up as is. So I'm trusting that these messages will bring something specific through just for you, open to receive. So the guidance around your individual genius and unique contribution, I pulled choosing your path. All is possible. The card meaning says new vistas are ahead. You have the power to choose, and within this is your freedom. Do not allow the restrictions and limitations placed on you by the expectations of others deter your path. Be daring. Cast aside conventions and restrictions. Dance, laugh, explore. Go beyond your predictable behavior. Say yes to life. You support others in stepping into their freedom. Ashe. So your individual genius and unique contribution is just all about making that choice and commitment to doing it and being fearless about it. The Sacred Traveler wants you to know, choose life on your terms. Move beyond those situations that you have outgrown. Sometimes to be free, the traveler needs to put down his pack and just keep walking. How many of us have done that? There are times to live an ordinary life, but there are also times to cast ordinary things aside and fling your arms to the heavens in joy. You are not on this planet to always meet the needs and expectations of others. Ashe. You are here to explore, expand, and step into your extraordinary self. Do not unconditionally accept the rules you have placed on yourself or that others have placed on you. Choose pathways that lead to greater freedom and happiness. Yes, indeed. Life is too short, and Uranus and Gemini is going to make us aware of that. And then the little fads are going to come and go really quickly, too, but it'll be fun to watch. Now, the guidance on your new creativity and different ideas, again, how we want to change things up there, was surrendering to the journey, release control. So I don't know about y'all, but a lot of times with me in the astrology, I try to shape and predict what you all want to hear or what you need to learn about or what needs to be said at a given time. But let me tell you, it is always juicier when it's some kind of synchronistic aha awakening to that perspective that then I turn and share with you. So I have learned to surrender and allow my spirit team to kind of guide what I share with you all as well. The card meaning of surrendering to the journey is it's time to let go. All is well. This is about your new creativity and different ideas. The Creator is at your side. You don't have to do it alone. Your life is guided. This is not the time to try to control the details of your life. Let it flow. There are times to hold on, but this is the time to completely surrender. Surrender to the greater forces of the universe. Let go of wanting to control your future. Simply turn your challenges over to your spiritual source, which is what we call a spirit team or the ancestors or orishas. The Creator will escort you on your journey all the time. The sacred traveler wants you to know surrender is not giving up. You are not yielding to a force outside yourself. You are opening to your soul. By releasing hold, you allow the creative forces of the universe to spiral through you, which brings inspiration and direction into your life, which is what Uranus is going to do too, especially around your new creativity and trying to change your ideas or thinking. Sometimes the journey goes a different way than expected. When it does, do not resist, I say. There are times you can see the path, but you don't know where it leads. Not knowing where you're going can activate inspiration, insight, and creative juices. You cannot discover new oceans and distant vistas unless you have the courage to let go of the shore. You don't have to do it all yourself. Support is all around you. Simply open your heart and allow it in. Deep breath. Yes, indeed. So just being aware, and maybe sometimes I think I do get big ideas, and then I have to write them down because I can't do them right away because they require a lot more setup. So being aware of those aha illuminations that come through, the good ideas or the way to change the ideas you have and upgrade them for now, that's going to be really well supported as well. Now, how to handle change no matter what. Right? We don't know what kind of change is going to come. We can loosely bank on it happening in the area of life, but otherwise it's really in God's hands. So this one we got answering the call. The time is now. So my initial response was if change presents itself, jump on it. Like we said, don't resist. The card meaning says you have been called. The sacred journey always starts with a call. You might feel ready or you might be uncertain and not willing. But when you receive the call, you must respond. If you have been waiting for your life to turn out, the waiting is over. Your true and authentic life is happening. If you have been hoping for a sign, this is it. Right now, you've been called, and a gateway is opening for communications from the spirit realm. The energy of courage surrounds you. You may not know what the future brings, but you do know that it is now time to act and go forward. The sacred traveler wants you to know Spirit is trying to get your attention. Right now, your spirit helpers are telling you that this is your time. Listen with your heart. Your time is now. Do it now. Throw your shoulders back, take a deep breath, and plunge forward. The waiting is over. No matter what concerns or hesitations you may have, in the deeper sense, you are ready. Believe, trust, follow the signs. There will be many, and miracles will abound. And that was what was so crazy about having the jump out card be miracles. I kept feeling that energy around all of it. Like, that's what we have to look for, is just the unexpected, the things that don't make any sense. We're not going to be able to reason them out, but they will serve us. The negative mental pattern to break or change. Overcoming obstacles. You can overcome anything. The card meaning says there may be a blockage in your life or one ahead. However, you absolutely have all the inner resources you need, not just to overcome the difficulty, but also to thrive as a result, because that's going to be the other thing. We will be rewarded for changing. That's real. I do believe in that. No matter what the obstacle is, you are amassing your inner strength to step beyond it. If there is a dream that you desire that has eluded you, know that you have all the inner skills to move beyond any blockages preventing you from achieving this goal. Use any obstacle as a stepping stone to great achievements and success in your life. The sacred traveler wants you to know when the traveler encounters an obstacle on the path, the traveler understands that there are many ways to go beyond it. All you need is within you now. All the assets that you require to overcome this challenge are available to you. If you are blocked on one path, find another. This is a powerful time of developing your inner strength and fortitude. When you look back, you'll find that many inner gifts developed during this time. That's how I feel too, is like, don't commit right away. Let the Uranus awaken you to new ideas or doing things differently in some kind of way, and just see where it leads, right? And then our bonus card was miracles, additional insight or reminder, expect the wondrous to emerge. I mean, as long as we're going to have unbelievable madness going on, it might as well be something good and juicy and miraculous and wonderful. That's the way I'm looking at it. If Uranus want to bring me anything, bring me those miracles. The card meaning says, just around the bend, a miracle is waiting to happen. Release fear and uncertainty as well, and majestic wonders wait to unfold for you. Watch for them and embrace them. Some come in an unlikely form, and most of them will. Trust that all is unfolding for your highest good. Expect miracles in your life. The sacred traveler wants you to know what is expected tends to be realized. So basically you get what you expect, right? Or you get what you focus on. The more you become aware of the small marvels in your life, the more they will grow in magnitude. Celebrate and cherish them when they appear, no matter how small they may seem. What others see as ordinary, the sacred traveler sees as wondrous. Look at your life in a new way. Let go of fear and expectations and allow the Creator to solve your challenges in mysterious and wondrous ways. Don't limit the way you think miracles can appear in your life. All is well. Ashe, deep breath. So this PDF of the guidance, for those who want it, will be in the post called Goodies, so you'll be able to see these beautiful cards and follow up on any messages just for you. But this is our introduction to processing information in new ways, sharing information in new ways, and doing it a different way with our consciousness. So any changes you can embrace will be good for you, and just be mindful of resisting or going into that kind of loner exile aspect of being too different, so no community or, out on the island. I know when I was in Florida, I felt very much on an island. And then I leave, and now I got a couple people there, so I have reasons to go back. But you can feel exiled, and sometimes it's self-imposed, and sometimes it's the world being crazy and you just don't want no parts of it. But we need each other. We can't do this alone, and we need the energetic support as well as the literal physical support in real time. So building those communities on the ground, and then, of course, our worldwide online community has been together quite a while supporting each other. And I'm very grateful for the Power Circle and the Venus Circle and the Soul Sister Circle. And if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer those. But that is my presentation, and I am very grateful for those who could be here live to help me hold it down. And let me know if there's anything else I can do to help you navigate Uranus and Gemini. Feel free to reach out directly. And you can certainly shoot any afterthoughts or questions to me later. So I appreciate everyone. Thank you, thank you. Be well, and I'll see you soon. Peace and love.